The massive impact of Logan Cooley's future on the Utah Mammoth and whether or not he'll become the highest paid player on today's Locked On Mammoth.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Thanks for making us your first listen when it comes to the Utah Mammoth Hockey Club. This is Locked On Mammoth. I am veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño, and we appreciate you being here. Thanks to our everydayers who check us out. Today, we're diving into the Logan Cooley, fascination, Robyn. There's a lot to like about a player in his early 20s putting up 65 points. It's tempting, right, to buy in on the hype. Remember how strict I am about dropping the word superstar? Logan Cooley could be a superstar.
I mean, you can really get close to it, right? I mean, you've heard me multiple times talk about the 2022 NHL entry draft and who's appeared to come out as the best player in that draft so far. And I mean, I think it's fair to say, and again, we're still using the term so far because it's still technically early, because again, these players' entry-level deals are just finally getting done with in a little bit. But Logan Cooley has seemed so much like the best player there. And I mean, and it looks like he's not stopping.
I hope that's the case. Utah Mammoth fans hope that's the case. One of the biggest questions around Cooley is whether or not Logan Cooley is going to become the highest paid Mammoth. So far, Robyn, the contracts that have been doled out have been just a little over $7 million at the top end for this team. They haven't swung for that $10, $12 million contract yet. I don't know that that's coming anytime soon. But this is going to get interesting when we get to the comps a little bit later on. But first of all, Robyn, I guess the simple question, let's start with this. Do you believe Cooley becomes the highest paid player?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. And I think the short answer is yes. I feel like it would be, it seems like the right move, because on the trajectory that he's on the amount of hype around this kind of player, on how much you want to build around this kind of player, it only makes sense to give him the largest contract. I mean, yes, there are some players who right now are better than him. I mean, Clayton Keller, we talk about him being the captain, being consistently having good seasons and all that. And again, you expect that out of a player in their late 20s. Logan Cooley's in his early 20s, and he's just getting on the kick of things. But even then, I feel like because of where the trajectory is on contracts alone, even skill set aside, where Logan Cooley is at, he's in an opportune spot to be the highest paid player.
I think that if we look at, the first guy that's going to come to mind is his teammate Dylan Gunther. Gunther had his deal re-upped a year before what could have been, either a qualifying offer or, heaven forbid, arbitration, because that's always dicey. So Bill Armstrong went ahead and decided he was going to extend Gunther last year. Well, this coming in is the last year, 25-26 is the last year of Logan Cooley's deal. I have a sneaky suspicion we are going to hear an extension long about late August, early September, maybe heading into training camp for Logan Cooley here, because that just seems to be the Bill Armstrong style.
It does seem to be around that case. I feel like what goes into the conversations there, probably, and this is probably what I'm seeing, what Bill Armstrong is doing, what probably coaches are doing in this case, is they're talking to these players when first of all, they let their players have their summer, right? But at the same time, is they come back from that summer and they kind of observe, like, all right, how did you treat the summer? Were you training? What kind of things did you do? How serious are we taking this kind of job as a full-time player in the NHL? Where are you at with your development? All of that sort of things. Because when that time comes, when the season's about to start, it's the perfect time to be able to dole out a contract like that, because you're not swayed. You're not swayed too much by maybe hype that's happening right when the season starts. Let's say Cooley goes off to have, and this is a huge hypothetical, right? But let's say he has like 10 goals in the first 10 games of the season, right? It's like, oh my God, they pay him now, and all of a sudden, whoop, $12 million contract. Doing it in the preseason, right into September, going August, September time, that's the best time to do it. It really is.
I think so too. If you believe in the player, which I clearly think Utah does, coming off a 65-point season, which was a pretty big year. And then also the Team USA appearance, and did nothing to hurt his stock with Team USA at the Worlds. That, I think, more than anything else, believe it or not, Robyn, I know that there's a temptation by a lot of people to say, well, it's not the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the world's best of the best aren't always there. But I think that's a big measuring stick of not only how well he performed in the tournament, but perhaps a future indicator of what you can expect Cooley to do against big time situations. And I think that's fantastic. He showed a pretty decent maturity on him for a guy who's 21 years old.
Oh, absolutely. And you make the point of those the world championships not having all of the best, because some are still over in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Some are deciding just not to play because maybe they got other things they want to work on in the off season, or they got
heal. Some of them are hurt.
Yeah, some of them are hurt, so they want to heal up or whatever it is, right? But at the same time, I've said this before and I'll say it again, Tom. The World Championship, I think, is a massive benchmark for the reason of there still is a lot on the line, because you are playing for your country. There's a little more extra pride in it. The players who do go put in a lot of effort, and there's a lot of eyes on you. There are still so many eyes on you. Maybe not as many eyes as in the Stanley Cup final, but there's still a lot of eyes. Scouts are there, they're watching, they're taking a look, say, hey, there's player development, and they're taking a look at, I think the biggest thing is, skill, but two, Tom, is they're taking a look at their poise. How well are they being able to play on the world stage?
Absolutely. I want to remind everybody today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So as we discuss, will Logan Cooley become the highest paid Mammoth player? Robyn, you said short answer, yes. I actually agree with you. I think that Cooley is the player they're going to invest in. Keller is the clear captain and the clear leader of this team. Dylan Gunther is definitely the sniper, but I think Logan Cooley can be the best all-around player that not only this team, but this franchise, and I am including all of Coyote-dom, maybe has seen. I think that the sky is the limit for Logan Cooley, and it's pretty darn exciting to see.
I mean, anyone who's probably followed him even before his time with Arizona and Utah, maybe if you were a follower of how he played for the University of Minnesota, maybe you were crazed for how he played for the USA NDDP, but even then, right? Everyone had an eye out on this team. There's a reason why in so many mock drafts at the time, Logan Cooley was projected to go pretty much top 3 in every single projection.
There's a lot to like. It really is a lot to like. There's hockey sense, hands, can skate, great vision, can release the puck pretty well.
Phenomenal center. He does a really good job a phenomenal job in the faceoff dot.
Can you see, Robyn, a world, and I actually could, Cooley eventually I think is your 1C, and I think we all know that that's where you
Oh,
want
yeah.
that guy to
No
head.
doubt. No
But in
doubt.
the meantime, if you went out and you picked up another solid center, if Utah had 4 incredibly solid centers, I think that would be to me, that's where you build, right? You get a good goaltender. It doesn't have to be great, I don't think, to win the Stanley Cup. A good goaltender, a great defense, and be great up the middle. And I think that you can absolutely win cups with that.
Oh yeah, no, that is a baseline recipe for like a Stanley Cup team. Like I mean, I don't think it is a hot take or anything to be able to say that.
And there are some teams that, I mean, they have different philosophies, and
They do.
there's everybody wants to build things a different way. But I want to talk a little bit more about Logan Cooley here, and I've got some comps for Cooley. Kind of a good news, bad news situation, Robyn. We'll get into that here because it might be a little cringy, but that's all right. We're going to talk about the numbers here.
All right.
And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest of all moments in the final? And how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? If you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with a same game parlay? And you know what? $200 in bonus bets. How does that add to your excitement if your first $5 bet hits? New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you, Locked on Mammoth. Hey, please subscribe if you like what you hear, if you appreciate the show. We appreciate you being here. And whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to us anywhere you get your podcasts, thanks for making us your first listen every single day. When it comes to the Mammoth, lot to talk about. Logan Cooley's name is going to be on everybody's lips. And Robyn, before I get to the comps, we talked the other day about untouchables on this team. And I think first and foremost, it's like Logan Cooley. Again, no one is truly untouchable. You know, like I said the other day, the example I gave is a straight up trade for Connor McDavid, but he's untouchable, right?
Right. No, yeah, I think the best way to explain it is in like a de facto, like say in true how you perceive things, like in and de facto, no one's untouchable. But in practical speaking terms, Logan Cooley is untouchable. Like there's no there's no getting rid of him,
Oh,
especially without extremely upsetting that fan base because Utah wouldn't like. Oh man, again, this is an exaggeration, just want to preface, but it almost would be like Utah fans would riot if Logan Cooley gets traded away.
Yeah, yes. So I want to start talking about some comps here, and the one I think that really is a good one to start with. The numbers are a little off, but the age is about right, and the status comes up about right, is Juraj Slafkovsky. So just starting year one of an 8-year deal, 7.6 AAV, 7.6 million. Last year, 51 points. And again, Cooley had 60 last year. But Robyn, I think that's a good place to start. But that might be the most encouraging contract, believe it or not, of the ones I'm about to give you. For players around this age, okay? Lane Hudson next year, 25-26, is still in the final deal of being an RFA. So that one's hard to look at. But Quinton Byfield, who I actually think was a value signing for the Kings, because Quinton Byfield was slow to develop the first couple of years. I remember there was a lot of weight, and Byfield's only 22. But I think the development was slow for Byfield. Byfield signed a 5-year deal for 6.25 and produced 54 points last year. So I think that that's a big one to talk about. And I'm not going to use Jake Sanderson as a comp here because he's a defenseman. That's the reason why I'm not talking about him and his $8 million deal, even though he did put up 57 points. But another one that I wanted to get to here, we talked about obviously what's going on with his teammate Dylan Gunther, but there's a 57 point at Kent Johnson, who's a value at 1.8 million. And now I got to find him because Dallas just had to pay Wyatt Johnson, and now I can't find Wyatt Johnson's contract. But Wyatt Johnson is almost kind of the depressing one because it got expensive fast. And Robyn, why don't you expand on what I'm talking about here, and I will quickly pull this up. Give me one moment.
I actually found the contract right here. It's
Okay.
a 5-year contract extension worth $42 million and an AAV of $8.4 million.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, that was the one where I'm like, who could this be the first contract that pushes the Mammoth over the 8 million mark for Logan Cooley because of that Wyatt Johnson deal?
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing to me, like I was actually going to use that as a huge example because I was like, all right, let's take a look at that deal because that's a really good comp that sets the bar where things are at, where Utah might give the money to Logan Cooley. But I also think maybe this might be this could be a conversation is as a way to talk with Cooley is. Because you still see this happen, and it's an interesting, but it's not as the term I'm looking for, absolutely insane as it used to be. But you can either front load those contracts, so you can still get paid significantly up front, but then you can put out to the max term length to like an 8-year deal if you really wanted to. If you really want to buy into a guy like Logan Cooley. Like you can do that, but try to figure out a way to you still pay him, get his money up front, but kind of do a little bit of cap flexibility to work on that AAV.
And a little higher up the ladder and slightly older, you got Lucas Raymond and Tim Stützle. Both are 23. Raymond is just a little over 8. Stützle is 8.35, and then Jason Robertson of Dallas is in the end of his this coming season $7.75 million deal. Now those are 80-point scorers last year. Yeah. But isn't that where you think Logan Cooley's going to end up? Logan Cooley to me should be 80 to 100 points once he truly comes into his own.
I mean, yes, I think that's the biggest thing is there's the multiple different schools of thought of how you think this, it goes out. When you're talking about a player this young, really the only one that makes sense is not to be the reactionary and sign of how they've played over the last few years. I mean, yes, that's important. But the other aspect is you see how they played, but you're also being very, proactive about it and being like, okay, we know that this player's ceiling, scouts are saying this, everyone else is saying this player's ceiling is superstar level. So you have to accommodate that dollar value. You have to take a look at where that's going to go. And based off of those, those comparisons, again, it's going to be high.
So Robyn, then the question for me, and I think maybe that a lot of Mammoth fans are asking right now, and it's a fair question to ask, is Logan Cooley the first $8+ million player for the Mammoth? Is he the one that takes that number from a 7 to an 8?
I think so. He will be.
I think with the way the market's going right now and the cap is going up, you hope, like Dylan
It's a
Gunther,
good time to do it, especially
right.
where, first of all, next year's the cap is going to be like $95 million, but it's supposed to go up another $10 million, and it's projected at this time to $105, even $107 million in 2026, 27. So, like, honestly, it wouldn't surprise you if it's, between the $8 to $9 million range.
I think if you could get him at 8 to 8.3,
yeah,
and get 8 years out of it, because
like
again,
let's say 8.25 at 8 years.
And that'll take him all the way up to age 30 or thereabout, and he'll have one more big deal to sign. So that would also, you think, work for the player. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. But hopefully by the end of that contract, he's a huge value. And you're looking at it going, holy cow, they got a steal.
Yeah, and that's why you do it now, right? That's why you're proactive about it. Again, if you're reactionary and don't do it, and let's say if they did it at the towards the end of, let's say they did it in March of next year, 2026. Logan Cooley is on a tear. He knows his contract deal is up, and all of a sudden he's playing so well. You have no choice but to pay him like $10 million. Like, and again, I do think he's got the value, and he can be worth that much. But there is a, there is a lot to be said about being proactive about it, being done ahead of time, but still making sure he's getting paid what he's worth.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. He will get paid.
And being fair, absolutely fair about it, right? You want to be able to look at what this team can do and how to build it. You don't want to throw, let's say, just willy-nilly a $15 million contract just to say, you're throwing a $15 million contract. That like Ryan Smith would look at Bill Armstrong and be like, look, I said my pocketbook's open, but dude, what the hell?
Yeah, that and you'd have every other GM in the league upset at you because you've totally screwed them over too. So, but I don't know. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, or if you want to reach out to us on social media. 8, maybe 9. Where would you go? And I'm assuming everybody would give 8 years, but maybe you wouldn't. If you wouldn't, let us know what your reason would be there.
I mean, who knows? I mean, 8 years is ideal. I'd go as low as 6 years. That's like the minimum of term length I'd go.
Basically, give him a chance to sign another deal at 28 or 29 years old.
Because that's also prime. That's where literally it's like at that point you're risking.
Expensive.
At that point, you'd be risking a $12 million contract.
Well, but by then,
yes, he would get that. But
years from now, it could be over that. It could be 20.
Could be a $20 million contract for all we know. Like, it's
those days are coming. I mean, it's going to be crazy, but those days are coming. Hopefully not soon, though. So, yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. And want to talk about the Utah Mammoth have already announced a preseason game. We'll tell you where and against who in just a moment. This is Locked On Mammoth. I'm Tom Callahan alongside Robyn Leaño. Thanks for making us your first listen every day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. And Robyn, I think this is pretty cool. The Mammoth have announced that they are going to play a preseason game. Essentially, I mean, this is as on the road as you can get. They're going to Idaho Central Arena in Boise, September 30th. Against the LA Kings. So, road trip?
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Should still be nice up there that time of year.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
That would be an awful lot of fun. Now, the Idaho Steelheads, if you're wondering why that sounds familiar, Idaho Steelheads, the ECHL, play there. And interestingly enough, their season ticket holders will have the first right to reserve the seats. And the presale starts July 15th, and they will have a general public presale that's coming a little later. I do know there are probably Mammoth fans all over the state of Idaho. This is actually kind of taking a page out of the Vegas book, though, isn't it, Robyn? Like, Vegas literally tried to steal everything between the Midwest and the California coast when they came in as far as their territory.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, they were trying to go all over and do try to claim as much as they could. I mean, they still. I mean, they're trying to do maybe in a similar thing. Honestly, here in Arizona,
they are.
They're doing a significant amount of outreach. They're not doing honestly, like they're not doing any grow to game things or anything, any kind of other thing, any other programs like that. But they are doing a lot of outreach. They're doing, who knows, maybe they even get a preseason game here, just to declare dominance over that territory. I mean, again, you want that, right? They want that if you're a team. You want to be able to say, hey, this is our area. And I mean, yes, I will say, it's not a surprise to hear coming out of my mouth to be even say on a first-hand perspective to say, hey, here in Arizona is just an insane free-for-all on who wants the territory. Vegas has been trying the hardest, though, even though Colorado and Utah are also trying to go for TV rights or whatever else they can get in this area.
And as we know, Phoenix has an absolute complex about hating LA. So the California teams are not invited.
Nope, absolutely not. Never.
They are not going to make any inroads there whatsoever, which I think is kind of funny. But all of that said, Robyn, so this is Utah planting its flag in, I think, some of the more northern climes of the United States and Vegas did try it, right? They tried to get into that area and really were broadcasting their games everywhere they possibly could. They do broadcast them here in Arizona, but I think a preseason game in Idaho is a really good step towards trying to bring the NHL fans that are up in that area onto the side of the Mammoth.
Yeah, it's about that. It's about expand again, and again using the term that I use, expanding your territory, right? You want to be able to, increase the amount of fans you have in those areas. I mean, yes, if you want to go in a technicality speaking, Idaho Steelhead fans are fans of a Dallas Stars affiliate, right? The Idaho Steelheads are the ECHL affiliate of the Dallas Stars. Just as the Utah Grizzlies are the ECHL affiliate of the Colorado Avalanche. But I wouldn't surprise me if that changes at some point. One of those are bound to bend towards Utah at some point. But this is a start.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, they did shoot down rumors once again this week. It seems like they're shooting them down every week that the Grizzlies are eventually going to become the AHL home for the Mammoth. That's not the plan right now. It's still the Roadrunners.
No, they're still under contract with the Roadrunners for, I think, the next couple of years at the very least. I don't know when that ends, when the affiliation contract ends, or what happens after the affiliation contract ends. No one really knows, especially with the Marinello group trying to move the Roadrunners to potentially Reno.
Yeah. That looks like it may happen. I mean, they get that building built. I just don't see a way the team stays in Tucson, unfortunately. So
that makes me upset, but that's for no whole other conversation.
Yeah, no, that I am upset right there with you, especially someone who worked in the American Hockey League right in Tucson.
Rick, you were in charge, like you were a huge part of bringing the Roadrunners to Tucson.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, I've got some roots for hockey in Tucson, Arizona. And but you're right. It is another topic for another time. So we've already paid Logan Cooley, so I guess we just need to wait on the announcement because GM Robyn Leaño has gavelled it into existence. It shall be. So let us know your thoughts. If you believe that's the right move, if Cooley wrapped up 8 years, 6 years, whatever your term is, whatever your dollar figure is, did we name some comps that you liked? Do you have other comps that you would try to bring up from either side, from Cooley's side with the agent or maybe the team side? We're always interested in hearing what you've got to say about it. So Robyn, where can they find us on social?
They can find us just about everywhere on social. At Locked On Mammoth. Primarily active over on Twitter. I pay attention to as much as I can over there. You can also find us just about, again, everywhere else, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, all of those places. I'm personally at Robyn_Leaño on Twitter.
And I'm at Tom Talks on Blue Sky, at Callahan on Air on Twitter. And we appreciate you all being a part of the show. Thank you. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Locked On Mammoth.